Hi, I'm Davy. I'm awesome. And welcome to Davy's Awesome Movies, where I review the styles of movies that I love, the alternative B-rated cult style flicks. And sometimes while you're reviewing the movies that you love, they make sequels that you don't love quite as much. Last year I reviewed the first one of these. Figured I might as well get to the second. But let me make something clear. If this wasn't a sequel to one I love, it would never be getting reviewed by me. This one came out in 2014, 18 years apart from the first one. And it was directed by Alex Zam, and written by Stephen Mazur, and based on Jingle All The Way by Randy Kornfield, and produced by Alan C. Bloomquist, J.P. Williams, Michael J. Luisi, and Vicky Southern. Made by WWE Studios, and also made and distributed by 20th Century Fox. Ladies and gentlemen, Jingle All The Way 2. The movie opens with a little girl named Noelle, because, you know, it's a Christmas movie, waking up her father in their trailer so they can go ice fishing. Her father is played by Larry the Cable Guy, who plays the character Larry. You know, because he has range. While they're ice fishing, which God knows why. Sorry, I get some people like to go fishing. I don't. I've been fishing. Sure, it's fun when you catch the fish, but you spend all day waiting on a fish. If I wanted to sit there and do nothing, I can go home and do that for free. That I actually enjoy. And then to add ice to it, like, if I wanted to do that at home, I could do that at home in the middle of winter and turn off my heater. Sorry, but of the few times I actually did go fishing when I was a kid, the last thing that popped in my head was, you know what would make this better? Shrinkage. But while they're doing this, Noelle is talking to Larry about her mother and her new stepfather's wedding and how great it was.
Dad, I wish you could have been at Mommy's wedding.
Yeah, that's kind of awkward. Like, good for you if you got divorced and you stayed friends enough to go to one of their new weddings, but I don't know if I could do something like that. That would be weird. It'd be like, hey, congratulations. I had her first. After they're done ice fishing, Larry goes to drop her off with her mom at their new home, which is Victor's home. So basically, her mother traded way up. Like, way up. Like, she basically traded in Arby's for Ruth's Chris.
So did you two have a good time together?
So we're supposed to believe that woman was married to Larry. Like, I could believe that that woman would be married to Larry the Cable Guy now, the rich and famous Larry the Cable Guy, but Larry, a part-time trucker living in a frickin' trailer? I'm not buying that. They go inside and Larry and Victor start talking and they bring up how Larry is a part-time trucker.
That gives me more time to spend with my daughter.
Spoken like a true deadbeat. Don't get me wrong, I'm all about spending time with your kids, and I'm not going to pretend I've never been part-time because economy is bad or something and that was the best I could get. But ultimately, I'm sorry, but a dad provides. So you work full-time and make more time with your kids. Sure, it's exhausting, but your kids are worth that. Victor, on the other hand, he owns his own cardboard box company, which says he probably works more than full-time. Larry and Trish, his ex-wife, start discussing Noelle and how they're going to split her on her Christmas break. Especially considering that every year since they've been divorced, they rotate who gets her on Christmas Eve versus who gets her on Christmas Day. This year, it's Larry's turn to have her on Christmas Day.
It's our first Christmas as a family. I just thought we'd be together.
Why don't you guys just suck it up and have a joint Christmas? You know, you can go get a nice Airbnb, invite the grandparents, and... Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking about a good Christmas movie.
Why can't I just do both?
Because they are not co-dads like Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell. Larry agrees to split Noelle on Christmas with Trish and Victor, but he's clearly not happy about it. And as far as Victor goes, I would warn him. Larry may be a silly kind of happy-go-lucky guy, but he's still a redneck. Not a good idea to piss him off. Then they go outside, and Victor turns on the Christmas lights he's had set up. And yes, if I were rich, I would do that too. Larry goes to his favorite diner to talk with his buddy Claude about Victor.
Even I know that's a violation of daddy-stepdaddy protocol.
Claude is played by Santino Marella. You gotta remember this was a WWE Studios film, back when they were trying to make movies too. which didn't really work out because let's face it, none of the movies they made were like good, but they always had a wrestler in them. That night, Victor and Trish bring Noel over to Larry's and he's got his own light display. Yeah, leave it to a redneck to rig Christmas lights with jumper cables.
What do you think of that, sweetheart?
I think a Christmas light display like this in the middle of the woods would have Smokey the Bear ready to maul you. But he's not done. Now he should be, but he's okay.
Sorry, there was a power outage last night, so...
That wasn't an outage. That was an idiot blew the electricity. But to salvage the day, Larry suggests, let's go Christmas tree shopping.
Cool beans!
Okay, if my kids started saying cool beans, they would be grounded. When they get to the tree lot...
$300, it ought to already have presents underneath it.
On that we agree. While they're there, Larry sees that Victor is there buying a huge tree. One that is $10,000, even though it doesn't have a cell phone tower in it. But Larry thinks that this tree is just being bought for his family and Noelle and everything to impress her. Really, though, Victor is buying this and donating it to the town for their tree lighting ceremony. Either way, I don't care how rich I was, I am not spending $10,000 on a frickin' tree.
My little girl's love ain't for sale for anybody.
And that leads to Larry stepping into the sprucing area and getting all spruced. But you know what? Use this to get a free tree, Larry. Back at Victor's, he's brought in some snow machines so that he and Noelle can play in the snow.
You're almost as much fun as my dad.
Ooh, that's gotta sting. But then again, most stepdads are smart enough to not try to compete with the real dad. To compete with Victor's snow machines, Larry gets the idea to drive up to the mountains with a trailer, load it up with real snow, and then drive it all the way home so they can play in it. Who the hell would not see that coming? Like, did you forget that snow melts and becomes water? To get an idea of how to compete with Victor, which is stupid, Larry decides to read Noelle's letter to Santa and find out what it is she wants the most for Christmas.
The heck's a Harrisoni?
I don't know, that sounds like a radio or something. Back at Victor's, Noelle is telling her how she wrote a letter for Santa and how her dad was so gracious to go mail it to her.
He ran right out of the diner to mail as soon as I wrote it.
Victor's got an idea. A stupid one. Victor has his head of security for the box company, Welling, follow Larry to find out what he's trying to buy. Larry takes his daughter's Santa letter to a toy store to see if maybe they can figure out what it is. The flaw in this logic is that even by 2014, what toy stores? Even the majored ones like KB Toys and Toys R Us are so few and far in between now. They've gone the way of the video store.
Unless she means Harrison.
Harrison is a talking bear, voiced by the director of this movie, Alex Zam, that basically can interact with the kids. It can learn their name and up to 300 words. And it's this year's hot toy item. Basically, it's their version of the Furby. But since, of course, it is the hot toy that season, it's out.
If you write your name and number down there, I will call you as soon as we get some more in.
Yeah, I don't know of any toy stores that used to do that, even back when they were desperately clinging to life. Welling heard this, so he reports back to Victor that he's trying to buy a Harrison bear, but he couldn't buy one tonight, but he's going to be able to get one in the morning.
I have another assignment for you.
This should be good. He decides to have his head of security, Welling, go to every toy store in the town and neighboring towns and everywhere that Larry could possibly go and buy up every single Harrison bear available to make sure that Larry can't get one. 'Cause screw all the other kids who might have wanted one for Christmas, I've got to be number one daddy! Although I gotta say, for it being that year's hottest toy, these stores certainly had plenty of them. It's not really how it is. In real life, whatever the hot toy is, you'll be lucky to get one. Like, trust me, I work in retail, and I've seen it. For example, I mentioned the Furbies. I remember the store I was working at when Furbies were the hot ticket thing that year. They came out, and literally we didn't even get them on the shelves. People just started grabbing boxes, opening them themselves, and taking them. And keep in mind, this was at 2 o'clock in the morning. Larry's upset. He goes to his favorite diner, and the waitress, Maggie, tells him try online. I mean, because it is 2014, unlike the first movie.
As soon as they get to me, it's on the 26th.
And that's with rush delivery.
I gotta get that bear.
And I gotta get that pie. But just then, Larry gets some good news. The first toy store guy calls and tells him that they are getting a shipment in of Harrison Bears, and they will be on sale first thing in the morning on a first-come, first-served basis.
Pie for everybody!
Yes! Except Welling was also on the list to get called for Harrison Bears.
We'll see you then.
I hope he's giving you a big hefty bonus for all this evil. To ensure that he gets one, Larry wakes up and gets there 2 hours before the store opens.
You gotta be kidding me. Hey, is everybody in this line to buy a Harrison Bear?
I told a story about how my parents refused to do that. They explained to us that they were not going to sit out there in the freezing cold for hours to hopefully get the toy we wanted. And at 10 and 12 years old, we understood. But first in line was Welling.
I'm sorry, everyone, but the Harrison Bears have sold out.
What?
And this is why Victor is a bitch. Big time.
First customer just came and bought them all.
Yeah, that's why most stores, especially ones I've worked at, when it's that hot ticket item, they do have limits of 1 per family. Because yeah, they're a store that wants to make money, but they also don't want to piss off every other potential customer returning.
Duh!
Now, a nod to the first movie. Yeah, don't think you're tough. Arnold took out a Turbo Man. You took out a Furby knockoff. Outside, Larry sees Welling loading the bears up into his vehicle and asks if he can possibly buy one.
Man, I'm really desperate. Love to have one of those. Gee.
He says no.
Thank you, Welling.
Here's the thing, at the beginning of this movie, you felt a little bit sympathetic to Victor. He's the brand new stepdad. He just wants to be loved by this new kid that he loves. But not even halfway through this movie, you stop feeling any sympathy for him whatsoever, because this is such a jerk move. Larry finds out that there is a bar doing a bull riding contest. And among the prizes of the bull riding contest is a Harrison Bear. Why would a bar be giving that, of all things, away? To increase his chances of winning, he even brings his friend Claude.
You were on board! 1 second!
It didn't help. To now ensure that he wins, Larry goes outside and puts a very, very strong glue on his butt so that he can stay on the bull longer. Because, you know, I guess if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But even with his glued glutes, Welling has an idea.
How fast this thing go?
It goes so fast that even with the glue... But still somehow he won. Except here's the problem. The grand prize was a trip for 2 to the Poconos. The bear was second place.
My boy's gonna have the best Christmas ever!
Really? I mean, that's kind of a girly toy. Unless that's what your kid is into, no judgment. But now Larry and Claude can go enjoy the Poconos. Later, Larry is watching television and the news is reporting on a homeless shelter that is not only feeding the homeless, but is that day having a Santa there to give out presents to needy children. And Larry, well...
You could not be thinking what you're thinking right now.
Yeah, so don't. But since Larry is so desperate to be the favorite...
Yeah, this $500 donation way makes up for that bear.
Does it, though? So Larry goes in dressed as a homeless man, cuts the line, and sits on Santa's lap. Even though, just saying, I'm not trying to help you with such a disgusting scam, but a better way to go about that would have been, I don't know, bribe a kid to go pretend to be homeless for you.
Duh!
But instead, he just makes up that his kid is afraid of Santa, that's why he's stepping in.
How does a kid not like Santa Claus?
Maybe somebody let his kid watch Santa slay. And maybe that somebody has been apologizing to his wife ever since. But to get Santa to give him the Harrison Bear, he not only says he's refusing to leave, but starts making up that he's about to poop his pants. Classy.
Give this guy his bear. Quick, give him his bear.
You feel good about yourself? But outside, Larry meets a child who desperately wanted a Harrison Bear for Christmas himself. But his dad can't get him one because he's in prison.
He was just trying to steal enough money so Mom could get her operation.
Well, this isn't a little over the top. This obvious scam, though, does tug at Larry's heartstrings.
Catch.
Well, at least you're not a total piece of crap.
Sucker!
Yeah, other than Larry, Everybody saw that coming. We also saw coming
Nice work, kid.
corruptible youth. God bless them. Larry has officially given up till he gets a phone call.
Larry Phillips? I understand you're in the market for a Harrison talking bear.
So here's another throwback to the first movie. He is going to attempt to buy one on the black market for $500. For God's sakes, it's a freaking toy! Claude and Larry go to this abandoned warehouse with the $500, and it turns out the person selling these bears is the toy store worker. He apparently does this every year with whatever hot toy is that year's hot toy.
This is finally gonna be over.
That's what I was thinking. But then I remembered that this movie still has like 30 minutes. Just then they get raided. Even though I still would say, like the first movie, I don't think they would raid a black market toy conspiracy. At the very most, just a cop or two going in there like, yeah, this is illegal. So, I guess thank you for the throwback to the good Jingle All The Way. Even though you did it cheaply. That one had the Big Show in it. And this was a WWE Studios. You had the Big Show at your disposal. He could have done a cameo. But in this one, Larry is not even remotely in any trouble. He just gives a witness statement.
Hey, you think maybe I'd get one for my daughter for Christmas?
I'm sorry, sir. We can't do that.
Yeah, they really can't do that. It is actually evidence. The next morning at the diner, as Larry is accepting defeat, he sees a news story where a bunch of angry parents are talking about how they've uncovered that it was one unidentified man that has been going from shop to shop buying up every Harrison bear.
And so it would seem someone somewhere is hoarding Harrison talking bears.
Despite the fact he hasn't been able to put two and two together on any other situation in this movie, he does put this one together. That in order to do that, you'd have to have a lot of money. And he knows somebody who has a lot of money and a reason to want to buy up all these Harrison bears.
He knows he must have found out what was in Noel's letter.
So, we're supposed to believe that throughout the movie, as dumb as he's been, this he could figure out. Larry sneaks into the factory as a delivery guy, and then asks to go use the bathroom, and hides waiting for Victor. And as he planned to, he follows Victor to the bears.
Is this supposed to be a joke?
Yeah, and you're the punchline.
That's when I would punch him. Larry tells him that this was really low, even for him. That he would actually buy up all these bears just to ensure that Noel doesn't get one. Victor says that's not true though. Noel's gonna get one.
Only it's coming from her new dad instead of her old one.
Okay, hit him now. Instead of hitting him, Larry just grabs a bear and makes a run for it. See, you should have kicked his ass first. And it's Christmas. You deserve a little something. A little late now, but hey, as long as it makes you feel better. At the tree lighting ceremony that they are waiting for Victor to show up to, a reporter comes by because through investigative journalism, they found out that Welling is the one that has been going around buying up all the bears. The townspeople are there, and they are pissed because all their kids wanted one too. And they, like honest, good, hardworking people, wanted to go buy their kids what they wanted for Christmas, but couldn't. Not because other people were buying them, but because of the one. So they are ready to mob him. And I would believe this.
It wasn't me. It was Victor Baxter.
Oh, you are so fired. And even worse, this doesn't save him.
Hey!
Death by candy cane. Over to Larry and Victor.
Come on!
I feel like my brother and I would do that. Not for any anger or animosity, just it'd be really fun to have a bear fight. Once they calm down, they start talking, and Larry brings up that it's ridiculous that he's trying to compete with him. He's just the stepdad.
Stepdad. Like it's some kind of lower form of life.
Well, you are, but that's not for being a stepdad. That's for all the other selfish crap you've been doing. Larry tells him, though, it's not fair to him to have to compete with somebody that has that much money. But he also points out that because of Noel, they are now stuck in each other's lives.
So we gotta figure out a way to get along, okay?
For starters, stop ruining each other's Christmas. They are desperately trying to figure a way to get out. That was the only door that the knob broke to, and they have no cell phone reception. But then Larry, in all his redneck wisdom, gets an idea. Rednecks. Once they get outside, they finally have some reception, so Victor calls Trish.
Somehow everyone's gotten the idea that you bought up all the Harrison bears so that no one else could have one.
Now divorce him. and take a lot of that money. Larry gets an idea. Larry gets a Baxter Box Company truck and drives it over to the tree lighting ceremony where the angry mob is. And then he tries to get out and tries to speak with everybody, but they won't listen. They are an angry mob. They're not known for listening.
Let the man speak! Please.
Better listen or you'll get the Cobra!
This whole thing was a surprise by the Baxter Box Company.
Really? That's how we're gonna play this?
Merry Christmas!
Now to save face, he pretends to be the good guy.
I have free Harrison bears for everybody who wants one.
So the rich and selfish a-hole gets to look like the hero. Yay.
I owe you one.
And you better be happy it's Larry. I would have let them murder you. Now it's Christmas Day and Noelle opens her present.
Honey? Thanks.
That was lackluster. And they're both surprised because they admit they read the letter and this is what she really wanted. But she says that's not what she wrote. What she said to Santa was what she wanted was for her family.
Together as one. Love me.
So the two of you were complete asses for no reason. Especially Victor. But hey, at least she got what she wanted.
My family. Together as one.
Stop it. But this movie does have a tragic ending as we see Christmas dinner.
Who likes extra crispy?
So there you have it. That's a sequel to a Christmas classic, Jingle All The Way, Jingle All The Way 2. I don't have a lot of good stuff to say about this movie. I mean, it made money as it had a $5 million budget, and it was a straight-to-DVD video. So didn't have to worry about promotion and box office, all that. It just was just like, hey, there's a DVD. And it was Larry the Cable Guy, so it made its $5 million bucks. However, though, it was not very well liked by critics or audiences. Not gonna lie to you, a lot of the jokes are very forced and very cliche. Not to mention, let's face it, it's Larry the Cable Guy. It's not like any of his movies have been great. I've seen a few of them, and I'd say the only one I kind of laughed at was Delta Farce, but even that, I wasn't, like, in love with that movie. It was nice, though, that there were a couple of moments that they paid some homage to the original movie. That also, yes, tanked when it first came out, but after has gotten a big cult following, and the majority of people who've seen that one liked it. Not the same with this one. In fact, I'm not going to mention his name because let's not bash him anymore, but I did see one reviewer on the internet. He actually said that he didn't like either of the Jingle All The Way movies, but if he had to pick one, he'd pick this one. And the comments section was loaded with people who very strongly disagreed with his review. And to me, it's weird that they would do a sequel to Jingle All The Way that has nothing to do with the original one, especially because the original one could easily have a sequel. Jamie could be all grown up and out on his own, and he did the same thing his dad did, forgetting about a toy that his kid really wanted, and now he's fighting to get one. And heck, if you wanted to make it a little bit more fun, you could have thrown Kevin Hart in there and had him play the kid of Sinbad, doing the exact same thing. I'd watch that. But instead, if we ever get a Jingle All The Way 3, it'll probably have nothing to do with either two movies. They'll probably grab the Flavor of the Month comedian at that point in time and have him just doing his kind of shtick, like Larry the Cable Guy, in a Jingle All The Way thing. Like they'll have Bill Burr just completely angry about the Christmas season for an entire movie. Okay, actually, I would watch that. Or maybe they'd have Sebastian Maniscalco complaining the entire movie that Christmas isn't classy anymore. Okay, I'd watch that too, so I'm going to stop before I give Netflix, Hulu, and Peacock any more ideas. But as far as whether or not I would recommend this movie, if you are like me, a huge fan of Jingle All The Way, so much so that you kind of want to be able to say that you saw both Jingle All The Way movies, then sure, it's not completely terrible. It's worth watching. There's a couple of things that'll make you laugh a little bit, slight chuckle. But I'm not going to sit here and say that you got to watch it, you got to see it, it's great. It's alright. Remember, it's Larry the Cable Guy whose stand-up is way better than his movies. Which is just how it goes sometimes. So, I guess on that note, if you want to say you saw both movies, then sure, go ahead and check out Jingle All The Way 2. So there you have it. That's my movie review this week. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to hit like. hit subscribe, hit the little bell so you get notifications for when I post the videos, and leave a comment. If you saw Jingle All The Way 2, tell me what you thought of it. If you haven't seen it and you just want to chime in on what you thought of Jingle All The Way 1, I reviewed that movie. Love you guys.